Yes, yes. Here we are. Hey, Manny.
Hey, Niels, how's it going?
Yeah, yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Had
Maybe I
some
should
good
open up
trades.
a small introduction. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm, I'm Manny. I've been trading futures for well over a decade and a half. I met Niels through another trader friend of ours, and whether you guys are checking in to learn the ropes or you're trying to scale up your accounts, come check us out and talk markets with us.
exactly. Yeah, and yeah, about me. Trading a bit over 15 years right now. Built my own software in the meantime. Maybe people who are trading a while might know me from AMS Trading Group. Now we have the new platform Delta Trader, the platform that you're looking at right now. And yeah, you know, most
Yeah, so
most
Niels, we were talking earlier um, about staying in trades longer. And
yes,
that's an interesting topic of this discussion because so obviously as traders we always want to try to maximize our position and try to get the most out of a position that we can. But when we're in a position and we finally see that position working in our favor, and then that move starts to retrace, it's almost as if you're watching someone rip the win away from you. So automatically, your instincts are going to be to what? Well, let me just take what's there before it breaks even, or even worse, turns into a loss, right? One of the things that I've used to help me kind of stay in moves longer, I like to call myself I'm a position day trader. So I'm typically taking a position for the morning move, and then I'm typically taking a position in the afternoon move. Now, whether that position lasts 5 minutes or 5 hours is not up to me, but I tend to want to participate in the morning move and in the afternoon move. And so, with that being the case, I usually just stick to those two trades throughout the day. If I can hold on to something and hold it for the rest of the day, I will. So, case in point today, so 64.25 on ES. We're talking ES here. 64.25 was a
hmm
big resistance. And this was prior to Globex. I knew that ES 64.25 was equal to SPX 6400. SPX 6400 was the big call wall. I didn't. My plan for this morning was to see if we tested that call wall, which faded during Globex.
yeah,
We retested that level.
yeah,
I was going to try to get short. So I had the level in mind, but I can't just blindly sell it, right? So there was a few different ways that I was going to execute it. I was going to employ maybe a look above and fail. So say we looked over 64.2675, and then we came back in and got a decent close, not just a flash in the pan, but like a 15-minute close below. That would have been the trigger, but that's not the entry for me. Then I'll stalk the entry to try to get in closer to the edge. But that didn't materialize this morning. That was the plan. Instead, we always start out with a plan, and then we have to kind of conform that plan to what the market is doing. So this morning, when we spiked up, I noticed that there was a divergence. When we early on, right off the open, price dipped, and then on the 15-minute chart, we put in a buying tail, and
mm,
price ripped back up. So typically, you would think, hey, we just took out the previous low, and it was rejected. We've got a buying tail in there. It's time to get long.
yeah,
But knowing that we were going right into that call wall, and look, I was watching the order flow and looking for signs of weakness. So we traded up to about 64.15, I think, 64.12, and then price just died, right? And then we traded up there again and price just died. So I hit it at about 64.09. And I remember at the time I was considering the risk on the trade. So we had the first 10-minute high, the 10 a.m. bar high, which was at 64.13. So I was in at 64.09. I placed my stop above there. I could have put it above a little bit higher at about 617, and been at about a 7 to 8 point risk, which I was comfortable with.
Yeah.
Considering that I saw the weakness. And if you look at that bar, it just never it never looked back. So those are the good trades, the ones that are easy to stay in, which I'm still in that trade right now. But those are the easy ones to stay in, right? When you get immediate separation from your entry.
Yeah.
And one of the tools that I employ to try to keep me in those moves longer is to consider the chart pattern I'm trading, right? So we all know kind of like how these chart patterns play out. Once I get the trade on, I try to take my focus away from the dome and the P&L and the price action, and I try to monitor the chart for continuation. It's easy to get shaken out of moves, on a 5-minute chart, but you have to you get some fortitude and hang in there and kind of let the pattern play out. You end up staying in moves a little bit longer, and staying in moves longer as day traders, I think, is an excellent tool, just as good as order flow, as any other trading tool, because staying in moves a little bit longer, it kind of prevents us from making dumb mistakes, right?
Yeah. So I'm a very short-term trader. I really don't like to hold on long to trades, mainly because no one knows what's going to happen, right? Like you don't know, I don't know, no one knows. So anything can happen. So for me, it's always a matter of like, yeah, I put on risk, but I want to get that reward without being into a risky time for too long, right? I want to get paid. And for me, it works well in general, but I struggle with seeing my plan working perfectly, and I took only like 4 points, and then it goes 15 or 20 points, right? And then you're like, well, yeah. So I called that, but I didn't make much on it. And there's two sides to that, I think. Like you can say like, well, yeah, it doesn't matter. You took your trade, you took your target, and that's it. Yes, that's true, but you also want to improve, right? So you want to, let's say, normally like I do like 1-2 risk reward, something like that, but that would have been like a 1 to 10 risk reward, right? And that would be so
Right.
much better if you want to stay alive in the game. So yeah, so that's the
Yeah.
thing that I had, like my win rate is high enough to be able to do it, but it would make such a big difference in my performance if I just go from 1 to 2 risk reward to like 1.5, 1.6, whatever. Like it's like
Do
it's
you ever have you tried trying trading multiples and
yeah.
letting them run?
I struggle now with scaling because I'm doing small accounts, right, and I copy them. So I copy them.
Ah,
So I don't want to trade it too big also.
you know what? Like I completely understand that, because there are some days, right, that trading my style, where
Yeah.
I'm in a move, and so say the position goes, I typically scale out every 5 points. So say I've gotten to the position, I've gotten 2 scales out of it, and
Yeah.
then it starts to retrace. And every
Yeah.
retracement is torturous.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so what happens is throughout the day, that stress builds up. So every retracement, I think in my mind, I consider it as it's tiring me out.
Yeah.
If I sit through if I sit through a lot of retracements in the morning, I don't think I'm going to have the mental fortitude to be able to sit through a retracement in the afternoon. So
Right.
knowing that, there are many times where I'll get into a trade in the afternoon, and I'll trade it your way. You know what? If it's there, I call them hit and runs. You
Yeah.
take it, And if the profit was there, just get out. And what better trade than the one you get in and that automatically, hits your target and you're flat. The
I
tendency is
know, I
always to
know.
want more, but it's a good feeling to get out.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of how my morning went. As you can see here, the markings on my where I trade. So my short was very good. I waited for the high to form, right, and then I shorted the retest, but I just got out like it was like 3 points something, 3 or 4 points, whatever. And yeah, then it went, as you can see, twice, at least twice as far than my target. And while that per se is not an issue, I could have, if I saw that, could have taken it again and then wait for the retest and then fill for that, something like that, because normally it doesn't go straight down, doesn't go straight up, and yeah. But I tried here and I took like a point because I was not comfortable taking the risk again, being that I was in a better short before that.
Right.
And so that kind of threw me off. So I was trailing it very, very, very short. Like I was like moving it manually all the time. And it ticked me out. And then it went like another 2 points, I think. But I still made like 4 points in total.
Hey,
For
isn't trading is trading is so weird. Like we'll have a profitable trade and there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
And again, it's one style. There are many. Just listening to you explain it, it makes me kind of envious in the sense that maybe I like getting in and getting out is it's less stressful.
Mm-hmm.
There are many times where I'll take the position in the morning and I'll be into it into the afternoon. But the
Right.
thing is that markets don't move in a straight line. So while say the outcome of that trade is a successful one, by luck I don't get knocked out on a retracement.
Yeah.
Say it's a successful one. It's also an arduous day, right? You're sitting
Mm-hmm.
through those retracements, not knowing if you're going to get paid, not knowing if it was worth it,
Yeah.
not knowing if you just should have taken it off when you saw that tick spike.
Yeah, that came right after. Yeah, that came right
Yeah,
after. Yeah, it was like a little flash. Like I don't know. It seems
right.
like a buy, like a little market buy was like I don't know. Like it was weird. Like I saw it happening live and like okay, it was like I think it was like a 400 lot market buy or something. It was weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is interesting now because we're at that 12. So one of the tools that I use is it's a it's a tool that can help you with intraday swings,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more about the turn. It's more about time. When program trading happens, there tends to be movements in the markets, and we have a tool that kind of helps us out with that.
Mm.
So it's going to be interesting to see here because uh, that pattern is calling for another low this afternoon.
Okay.
So now so the way I'm seeing this is so we had the big drop this morning, right? I mean, it was relentless selling for the first hour, and now and then we had 2 hours of selling, and now it's kind of basing out, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing this. This doesn't look. This just looks like a retracement to me because this doesn't look like, at least not yet. It doesn't look like the type of buying demand. Whereas if you hit a level and there was demand there, and it just they're just lifting offers. So
Yeah. So
then
we have some volume from yesterday, right? With the VPSC around what is it, like 71s
right,
area. So that could turn in resistance, and have to see how they react there. But
so what do you have? Let me see. Hey, so on your chart,
mhm.
that white hollow, is that the profile chart with the white hollow one, is that a composite
Oh,
overlay?
here, no, it's the overnight. So I like to see the
Okay.
volume split between overnight and RTAs, and
Right.
Well, you can see that here. I like to see that combined to see how they react differently to.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
So can you walk me through setting that up?
yeah. Sure. Yeah, yeah.
So I'd love to have that on my footprint chart.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So I like that because I noticed they often react from like the overnight VPSC, and it's kind of what I based also my trade on this morning. You had the VPSC from the overnight around around this level here where they stalled after the open,
Right.
and I was just kind of looking for a breakdown and then wanting to test like wanting to short the retest, right? And so after this high failed here, I was like,
Yep.
okay, this might be it. It was a little bit annoying that it was just right at VWAP, but it was like, okay, it felt weak enough that I thought I was gonna try and test lower. Well, they did, but yeah, so that worked out. But it was also because I was looking at the overnight action, like, hey, this is looking like it might be resistance into the RTH.
Yeah, and look, at minimum, you had the volume there, so
Yeah,
typically, so around those big high volume nodes, right? I used to get into a trade around a high volume node and constantly get stopped out, right? I get chopped up,
yeah,
because and not knowing that if I had just stuck with, say, my first, so say typically here's how I would go. I'd get into one of those zones and I short it, and then it'd go against me a few points, and I would start overthinking it,
hmm
and I'd close it out at the worst time, and then I
yeah.
have the
That's
glorious idea of reversing, and then now my
yeah,
stops.
yeah, exactly. But that's the thing with like VPSCs, right? Because like naturally they're a point of attraction because it's where the most accepted prices, right? It's like the most volume is traded there. So that's why after many years, try to do it after they break down and then try to do the retest before I get chopped on it on that because it happens so often to me. I'm like, yeah, this is not helping myself, doing that. So yeah.
So one of the things, so after seeing that over and over again, like I used to, and there would be times, right, where I would be in say an hour of balance, where I would
hmm
have six trades, six losers,
Yeah.
right, where I sold the low and bought the high, and I
Yeah.
did that three times, you know, and then
Yeah.
and then I would go back, right, and I would, like, when I finally started to go back and review, and it wasn't easy because let's be honest, on a bad day, the last thing you want to see is your P&L.
Yeah.
But so I'd go. I don't know how it came about, but I started to review these, and I started to realize that if I would have just stuck with one of the positions, I would have been okay.
Mm.
And on the times that I was not going to be okay, I would have had one stop, which is normal and is okay.
Yeah.
But so then knowing that and going into it, it took me some time, but then I started saying, okay, look, I know I'm in a balance area. I know I have the position on. I know I'm not feeling very confident in it, but I know I cannot touch it. I
Yeah.
have to let it sort out. So either it resolves with a stop or it resolves in my favor. So I can't tell you if that it probably has yielded more winning trades. But more importantly, what it has done for me is given me, it allows me to save my mental capital,
hmm
right? So I'm not, though if on the day that you're flipping two or three times, that it wears on you mentally because you're not being disciplined,
For sure. Yeah.
and you know that you're just guessing and gambling, and that and all no trader wants to do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we start. I used to start getting down on myself, and then it would just pyramid from there. So what I started to do was just force myself to commit to stick with the first position. And do I get it right every time? No, but I've gotten a lot better at it.
hmm
And there have been times where the price goes against me and it's really close to my stop, and that trade went on to work out. I had a 45-point winner once
hmm
that came to within one tick of my stop.
Yeah.
I shit
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you not, man. It came to within one tick, and the reality of it is is that I was standing up behind my desk because I knew not to touch. I couldn't touch it, so I stood up and I
Yeah,
stood back. I stood over here and I watched it, right?
yeah,
And when it was getting close to my stop, I was like, oh, and it came really close, and then
yeah,
it moved away, and it didn't move away quickly. It developed over time. At the
yeah,
end of the day, it turned out to be a 43-point winner.
yeah. Oh
Okay.
man,
Well,
funny story about that. I was like, at some point, I think I was trading in a live account. I was trading like 10 or 20 lots ES, and it went against me pretty hard. I'm like, and I was still in it for some reason. I don't know why. And um, it went back to my break even point, and everything told me like, oh, I need to cut it, I need to cut it. And I was like, no, no, no. Now you should wait. Now it will
and
work.
hope set
Now
in.
it will work. And it didn't work. It went to my break even, and then it went against me in the end again. And I don't know. I took like a 10K loss for like. I was like, no, this is like no, no. So it was funny. It's stupid, of course. I mean, you shouldn't be in that position, but oh my god, like it's
Yes.
like
So sometimes I'll trade a. I have an interesting story about prop firms, but sometimes I'll be in say an evaluation of some sort, and I just want to get it to the funded stage. So I know by heart that on a 150K account, 6 points on 15 contracts gets you 50% of your total.
yeah, yeah,
So I shoot for that a lot,
yeah,
and that ends up causing me more stress. So I try
yeah.
to not do that anymore. Hey, heads up though, as price moves up, I would if we if we retest the initial balance low, that area,
Mm-hmm.
and if that happens within the next half an hour, 45 minutes, I'm gonna be looking to initiate there. Or better yet, you know what might happen? Well, let me see.
Like
No, because
75, 76, something like that. Yeah, it's close to the overnight low as well. 77, 78.
there you go, right? So we have that in favor,
Mm-hmm.
74 to 78. So say I initiate at 74 to get a fill. Might even have to go 73.50 to get a fill. But I'll watch it trade
Yeah.
because what one scenario that might develop is we come up here, we test it, it rejects, we
Mm-hmm.
balance, we get a retest before it rolls over, or on that retest it converts it. Right. So I want to kind of watch it here, but if I notice volume tapering off on
Right.
the footprint, I might just hit it when we get there.
Yeah.
It's also because my time study is looking for a high pivot into within the next hour.
Okay.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, so that's my plan. I'd like to. I think we roll over again, and if that does happen, it should be a nice trade to the afternoon low.
Yes, I normally just trade the open.
Oh, you
So,
did?
hmm?
That's interesting. I used to do that all exclusively, just 1 hour at the open.
Yeah.
Um, I know a lot of guys that do that.
Yeah, because it's like, especially if your scalp right is pretty intense and you need to focus a lot. Like like today, like wait, what time was my last trade? It was like here-ish. Like yeah, it was even like not even 30 minutes after the open. But it felt like 2 hours, you know? It's just
Yeah,
you're so focused. So like it's funny how time just passes by, and it's like, oh, it must be at least an hour, and it's just 5 minutes, you know? I'm like, yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah.
So I also, because of that, because it is as intense, I don't want to trade the whole day, you know, that's for sure. But
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I remember I had a stat a few years ago, and it showed me that on days that I had more than 7 trades,
mm,
I had a 95% probability of having a red day.
yeah, yeah,
So then that forced me to take larger breaks. And honestly, like, didn't we all get into trading to not spend a lot of time at the desk?
hmm,
Yeah. So I agree. Like, so my style of trading requires like long periods at the desk. but I don't stay here and babysit the position.
Right.
At a certain point, if I today, I know I have got my points locked. I'm still in a position. I have the stock. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
After this high, I'll move it. If we go higher and roll over, then I'll move the stop down.
Mm.
But other than that, I have it right now slightly over the overnight low. I'll just leave it there for now and let it work.
Yeah. It makes sense. So that's like 77, 70, 77, 78. Yeah, 78, more or less.
I find that staying in shorts is a lot easier too, because like typically, ES, they say it takes the elevator up. I sorry, it takes the stairs up and the elevator down.
No, it's true. It's true. It's just if this may be the low for today, they can just grind it up so
slowly. It's
yeah,
so hard to stay in it.
yeah, and then you're like just getting burned because they know people try to short it, right? And they're just pushing it up, getting everyone to stop out. So that's why that's one of the reasons that I like to trade the open, is because the moves are more real, I guess. And after that, the algorithms they already take over, but like they're more in control, so they it's easy for them just to bid it up because the books are empty anyway. So yeah, I feel it's harder to short it unless it's the last hour. Then you might have to move in again because people want to balance their end of the day, reposition for the next day or maybe something like that. Like yeah, but like in between, oh man, I try to avoid it because it's like, yeah, it's just
I think that's so smart. I think that's so smart. Yeah, I got into trading. I worked at Bloomberg. That's where my introduction to financial markets came from.
yeah.
And I remember, I worked New York City, Park Avenue. I'd wear a suit every day. I did that for over 9 years, and I remember, thinking, man, if I wish I could, roll out of bed and go to my home office and just be a trader.
Yeah.
And then I'd be able to, and I would think I'd have time to, run to the store and handle this errand. And so that's kind of like the lifestyle I had in mind when I decided to become a trader. And I think that we all kind of hope for that.
And like when I started trading, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. I'm gonna make a lot of money.
yeah. I'm just gonna go print some money. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah. I mean, giving money away. Ah, okay, that's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what do you think? Do you think the low of the day is in?
I mean, I don't know. And the thing is, I don't care. Like I for me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. You see, you have the luxury, right? So short-term trader, who cares, right?
I really don't care. I just want to see it reacting of some kind of thing. Maybe it could be a VWAP, could be a VPSC, could be LVN area that they sweep, like something, and I'll get in. It could be either long or short. I really don't care that much.
Me neither. I completely understand that. Yeah, I like that style. That's purely opportunistic, and it's if you know your stuff, it's great because you're in and out. You're not looking. You don't have to concern yourself with the larger move.
Yeah, exactly. So to a degree it gives me more peace, but yeah, still want to do better, still want to do, like improve, but yeah, that's a never ending story, I'd say.
Yeah. Hey, so why don't we wrap it up for today?
Yes.
Maybe we can come back on tomorrow and share a little bit more.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, Neil, thanks.
See you then. Ciao.
Take care. Bye.